Welcome back, MTG Joe here. We're here for the weekly metagame breakdown for the standard best of one format. Today we're going to look at the highest win rate decks from Diamond and Mythic. We just recently had the ladder switch over. Some folks are already in Mythic early runs, but we're going to see what's been working for folks. Quick programming note for those who are qualifying or have qualified or considering qualifying for this upcoming weekend's qualifier weekend. It is Alchemy. Keep whatever your thoughts are. If you need deck lists, I posted a video up yesterday, so you can see which decks are doing well there. So we have resources for every format. We'll try to catch up with Historic and Explore this week, as well as the formats kind of reinvigorate with some new cards, at least for like Historic from the Alchemy drop as well. That just happened. But going back to Standard, we're going to look at the kind of popularity of decks, and then we're going to look at the win rates themselves. We're getting the data from MTG, what you see on the screen, companion tool that aggregates user win rates, gives us all the stats we're using today. But let's jump into it. Timestamp and deck lists all in the video description. You can copy paste from there. So starting off, popularity of the day, Izzet Prowess, highest played deck, 13.5%. Azorius Omni at about 12. We have Mono Red at about 12, and then we have kind of a drop off. The Red Aggro is really Boros Auras with the Fling package, so really this makes up about another 10%, just under 10% of the meta, 9.8. Then we have Mono Black Midrange at 4, along with Demons. Again, these decks probably could be lumped together at about 7%. And then we have the Jeskai Control deck, the Jeskai Dragons, at 3.2%. Biggest riser is obviously Prowess. We see a decline in red as most players are picking that up instead, and Omniscience has been climbing steadily the last couple of weeks. So jumping in, we have 120,000 games played from Diamond and Mythic for the last weeks, 27th through to the 4th of May. And Azorius Omni is the highest win rate deck, 69%. So this one's actually playing the newer updated win conditions. So no sideboard in this one, as you can see. And you don't use the battles. Instead, the win condition is you basically loop 2 Meringue River regions that pick each other up, and the addition of Founding of the Third Path. So you basically are playing it for Chapter 2. You're milling your opponent, and then you pick up the Meringue Rivers, and then you just keep milling out your opponent, playing the Foundry over and over again once you get Omniscience to play. Those unfamiliar, how you get Omniscience into play? Well, you're just drawing, discarding, surveilling. You put Omniscience into your graveyard, you Abuela's Awakening the Omniscience into play. So as early as turn 4, you can kind of combo out. This deck has access to 3 temporary lockdowns early. A cool thing is the Roiling Dragonstorms will be bounced to hand when you cast Meringue River. So it just kind of refills your ability to dig further into the deck. Seeing a couple copies of the Falagi as well in the main board, just as a way to early blockers while help enabling the combo as well. Otherwise, every other card in the deck's either looting, drawing, as far as dispersal is technically interaction, but can also be another way to reset your Meringue River region to get that effect there. Confounding Riddles, a counterspell to protect your combo, while also being a way to dig for the combo. And then Mistry's Village is a way to make your combo uncounterable. Moving on, we have Mono Red Aggro, 65%. So notable thing with this, they've dropped the Witch Stalker Frenzies, instead just playing a little bit lower curve. We're seeing the addition of 3 Might of the Meeks in this version. Just a little bit more linear. The Might of the Meeks cycles itself, so just lets you play fewer lands. And then another way to trigger both the Valiant as well. If it's a mouse, it gets +1/0. It's a way to give Trample as well. So as you're kind of boosting up the power. You have the Lightning Strikes, the Burst Lightning. Sometimes you'll see Shock in place of Might of the Meek for best of one. Just gives you a way to interact earlier. If you're on the draw, it allows you to interact with their turn 1 plays as well. But Mono Red's been pretty consistent at this point here. I actually just got my 4th copy of Screaming Nemesis in paper. I made the mistake of ordering a foil and it's pringled. So it's been under my accounting textbooks trying to flatten out. Red Aggro, so similar kind of concept, 65%. So this one here, like I said, the black, you never actually cast the black. It's for the Fling ability. So you have your mouse package with a bunch of auras to boost it up. Heartfire Hero, Emberheart Challenger, Manifold Mouse, Lifelink and Removal and Sheltered with some pseudo protection with the Ward. Shard Mage rescues protection. Optimistic Scavenger lets you distribute counters, but a lot of ways to kind of pants up, as they say, for these kind of auras. Boggle style strategies, Ethereal Armor for boost, Feather of Flight for evasion and card cycling, and then Demonic Ruckus can be used as a way to blot on 1 and then start getting the action going on 2 for free, Menace, Trample, and a power boost as well. Really quick with this list here, you should be playing the full set of Battlefield Forge and probably the full set of Sunbillow Verge, so I'll fix that in terms of the mana base. Izzet Prowess. So I actually qualified in Best of 1 over the weekend for the Alchemy component with a very kind of similar list in Best of 1. The tech that's coming out of the RC this weekend is Draycatcher. It's a 1/3 vigilance, helps kind of beat the mirrors, and they can make you a bunch of tokens. Hearth Elemental is a card I'm very fond of. I think it's really good in these lists. It's a little bit more aggressive than Stock Up would be. Stock Up is pretty much a time walk on turn 3. Hearth Elemental, it's kind of self-enabling 2 spells. You discard your hand, draw 2 cards. Oftentimes you're hellbent when you do this, and then it's a lot of times when I've cast this card, it's a 1 mana 4/5 on the backside, since it gets a cost reduction based on instants and sorceries in your graveyard. So you kind of get that value. But for those unfamiliar, Corey Steelcutter cares about casting 2 spells per turn. So it's just a lot of cantrips, Sleight of Hand, Opt, Burst Lightning, Bolt Wave. So aggressively slanted deck that kind of refills its hand fairly quickly. This town, just a single copy with Storm Chaser's talent. Most of the time with Storm Chasers, you're not looking to do the traditional Pixie bounce loops. Instead, it's usually just getting a burn spell or just another card draw spell to start chaining together more action with the deck. Moving on, Mono Black Midrange. So the Demons deck, basically Unholy Annex helps you draw an infinite amount of removal, it seems. Cut Downs, Anoint with Afflictions, Go for the Throats, Nowhere to Run, Shieldred's Edict, Duress for Hand Hate, Deep Cavern Bat for Hand Hate, Liliana for Hand Hate. Then you have Unstoppable Slasher, Bloodletter of Alclazot's combo. You have these 2 out, Bloodletter connect, or Unstoppable Slasher connects. Your opponent loses all their life. Archfiend the Dross also is a demon in here that helps working with the drain from Unholy Annex. And then Ritual Chamber just makes you a big demon. Soulstone Sanctuary, another way to create a demon that works with the Annex itself. Jeskai Oculus, 56%. So this deck here cares about drawing and discarding, and ideally putting into your graveyard an Abhorrent Oculus. You're able to recommission or helping hand it back to kind of cheat it into play without having to exile a bunch of cards. Lets you start going to town. This deck also has the fair package of Prophecy-Datic Memory. As you're drawing cards, you get to put a bunch of counters, very strong with something like Steamcore Scholar that has Vigilance. Fear of Missing Out, very easy to enable in this deck. We have Kitsa on this version, another way to have Vigilance with this effect. Now, notably, these decks usually play upwards of 4 Prophecy-Datic Memory, instead opting to main deck Sheltered by Ghost, given the meta is more aggressive. You have some cheap Disruption. Mako also gets bigger with all the draw discard effects with the deck. Winter Night Stories is another way to draw discard, and then has Harmonize. You have a bunch of big Vigilance creatures, so you kind of get that value. Plays really cool with Kitsa because you draw then discard, and then you can also copy. So you can attack, if it's big enough, you can attack with it, and then copy it, or just Winter Night Stories and tap it. Same with Steamcore Scholar with Vigilance. Moving on, we have an interesting take on Orzhov Pixie. So most of these play a little bit bigger, but this one's a United Battlefront version. United Battlefront is basically Collected Company for non-creature spells. So you can get into play, or non-land permanents, let's say, not non-creatures, but Temporary Lockdown, Wishclock Talisman helps you find pieces and then can be reset. So you get the Tutor again, Nowhere to Run, Momentum Breaker, Corroding Dragonstorm, Gains and Drains. Then you have Sunpearl Kirin and Nurturing Pixie, as well as Hopeless Nightmare. For this deck, you want to put these cards underneath the Temporary Lockdown, and then either pick it up with Sunpearl Kirin or Nurturing Pixie, or scroll shift it, exiles, and then comes back into play. So you get to basically reset and get all these ETBs over and over and over again. Burn out your opponent basically with the Dragonstorm and the Hopeless Nightmare while eating away at all their creatures in their hand. We then have another United Battlefront deck. This is the Azorius Artifacts deck. So this one is playing for Simulacrum Synthesizers, the core card. Whenever a artifact 3 CMC or more comes into play, you get to create a construct, an artifact token that's power and toughness are equal to the number of artifacts you control. So the core of the deck is using United Battlefront to kind of find these into play. Spring-Loaded Sawblaze is an artifact that can deal damage. Clayfire Bricks is a way to help you find lands. And then you have the Repurposing Bay, which is basically like Birthing Pod, but for artifacts. Helps you dig in terms of finding either more synths or any kind of key piece. You can go up the ladder, Solum Simulacrum, Riptide, Gearhulk, and then up to Nexus of Becoming. Also for temporary lockdown to help you stay alive. You have the Pearly Snare and Assimilation Aegis as more removal in the 3-drop slot. Then move to Jeskai Control. So this is the Jeskai Dragons deck. So you have Shiko, Paragon of the Way, lets you Snapcaster at home. You could buy back temporary lockdowns, stock ups, rediscover the ways, or a whole bunch of removal options of the deck. Beza helps you stabilize, Ill-Time Explosion as a sweeper, along with the temporary lockdowns. Rediscover the Way helps you kind of curate your hand. You have Zurgo that could keep coming into play and then kind of anticipate whenever dragons deal damage. Meringue River Region is a bounce effect, helps you draw a discard as well, setting up your Shiko plays. And then a Jeskai Revelation on the top end. 3 steps ahead also is a way to kind of copy your creatures, get you some value that way there, and then just helps you stabilize. All modes are relevant in this deck, the copying, the drawing, and stuff like that. Then have Abzan Pixie Rhinos, so 55%. So this deck here, you're self-milling a little Overlord, but you have Skirmish Rhino, Baby Siege Rhino, 3 mana, 3/4, gains and drains 2 life. Severance Priest is a way to kind of thought seize your opponent. They get left behind with a spirit token when the priest leaves. And then you have Yathian Road Watcher, Yathian, 4 mana, 3/3. Notably, it says cast trigger, but you get to return a creature with 3 mana or less from your graveyard into play, so you can rebuy any of your pixies, then picking it up to rebuy your rhinos, your Severance Piece. You have Lauren for artifact enchantment hate, Hopeless Nightmare eats at things, a whole bunch of bounce artifacts, and then Shieldred kind of on the top end of the deck. And then a couple other decks from community. So this one's from Mitchy Slaps. They went 64-27 into Mythic 302. So I know what you're thinking. Mono Red wasn't playable, nor was Corey, but what if we jam it together? So Corey Steelcutter. Then you're just playing a bunch of burn. Fleeting Effigy is a card that bounces to hand every turn, so it kind of always gives you that second effect for the Corey Steelcutter. You have your mouse package in fewer numbers. It's a little bit interesting, some of the numbers in this deck. 1 Slick Shot Show Off, 3 Ember Hearts, 2 Manifolds, Reverberating Summon. If you cast 2 or more spells, becomes a 3/3 till end of turn. Discard your hand, sacrifice the enchantment, draw 2 cards. Probably just better off truing up some of the numbers like Emberheart, a couple Screaming Nemesis, a couple Storm Shriek Feral as a way to draw a discard. I don't love the tap lines in this deck. I could understand as a way to kind of draw some more cards, but you want to have all your lands untapped in this deck, so I think that would be the one thing I would probably look to change, and then just true up some of the numbers. Then lastly, so this one here, this individual got up to 101 Mythic. They actually peaked at about 57 Mythic, but it is an update on the Boros tokens, not Boros Convokes. So United Battlefront, Caretaker's Talent kind of pile. So this is a way to just kind of find you these effects, temporary lockdown for some small stuff, or Brass Forge. Now you do have like High Noon, which can stop the Prowess decks, or Omni combo. Temporary lockdown does kind of get under it, same with these graveyard effects, so just be mindful when you're casting that. But Urber's Forge and Caretaker's Talent draws you a card every turn. You have a Shelly, or Elspeth, not Shelly, and Sunfall on the top end, and then you have your kind of Fountain Port value pile. So another interesting kind of update on this deck. This deck was popular about a month or 2 ago and has largely fallen off. So just, I think the combination of High Noon, Lockdown are both very, very powerful effects in this current meta. That's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been liking, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.